Construction Materials Processing, this is Mr. Voigt. I'm going to talk to you right now about PPEs. PPE stands for Personal Protective Equipment. I'm going to do this quick so that we can go through it. I'm going to mention all of them and then I have something to talk about how to differentiate between them at the end here. So PPEs are anything you wear, personal protective equipment, anything you wear to help protect you in the shop environment. So they include things like safety glasses. These are required, state law. Have them on all the time. If I see you without them on, I'll ask you to put them on. And if you put them on, we'll be good. If you fight me and try to sneak around behind my back, that's when we'll have problems. These are required. So, safety glasses. Okay, I'm going to put my foot up here. Closed-toed shoes are required. Can't have sliders, can't have Birkenstocks, can't have Crocs, can't have flip-flops, anything like that. Must have closed-toed shoes. We do not require boots or steel-toed boots. Hearing protection. Now we have two types. These are the ones, the little foam ones that you roll up and you put in your ear. You roll them up between your forefinger and thumb, slide them in your ear canal, and they expand and they help keep high decibels out of your ear and help protect your hearing. These are over-the-ear earmuffs. We have a certain number of these over, I think about 10 of them over on the side of the cabinet. Put those on, okay, if you need to use hearing protection. These are a should. They're recommended, not required. Required, eye protection, closed-toed shoes. Must wear, right? So required and must, when they're asking test questions, really differentiate between the verbiage. Should or recommended. Those are the things that you probably should wear, but not all of them are required. So hearing protection is a should or a recommendation. Dust masks. I don't have a dust mask right with me. We do have dust masks or respirators. We have things to protect your breathing. Now here's the thing. The things that we have that are shoulds would be required in some environments. So like if you were breathing dust or chemicals for long periods of time, then obviously these are musts. And sometimes even for short periods of times, these are musts. So certain circumstances, I will make you wear a respirator or make you wear a dust mask. But generally they are not required. Mainly because the hazards we have here are mainly sawdust. And we just aren't in an environment that is that dusty for that long every day. If you worked a job where it was that dusty every day, all day long, makes it a different situation. Same thing with the decibels. There are days when it's really loud in here. In those days, you should put hearing protection on. But lots of days, we don't even have the vacuum on or we don't have the really loud equipment. Some equipment's much louder than others. And so the decibel level's not high and it's not required. So we don't require it every day. But circumstances might make it so I make you put it on. Just be aware of that. But should and must. Required, recommended. Okay, so there's some other things. So those are our PPEs. There's some other PPEs. Gloves. Gloves are typically not recommended when you're around a lot of this power equipment because if you're cutting and you get close and most of these things rotate in one way or another, it can catch the glove and pull you into whatever is cutting. So gloves are basically a no-no, generally speaking. Obviously, some contractors, when it gets cold out, wear gloves, but in this environment, no gloves. There are a few exceptions to that, circumstantial exceptions. If you're handling sharp materials, then obviously we would want you to wear gloves. If there's heat involved that you need to protect yourself from, then sometimes we have to do that. But generally, gloves are not just a should. They're not even, we don't even use them in most circumstances. Other things, aprons or smocks to protect your clothing if you're finishing something, or even if you just don't want to get something that you have on that's nice dirty with sawdust or something. We have these that are available. It's a personal protective equipment, not required, but if you want to protect your clothing in some way, wear it. We have plenty of them. Okay. Related but not exactly the same to PPEs are some things you shouldn't wear. So anything like if you're wearing a hoodie with strings or you're wearing a tie because you're out for football or basketball and you're in here, or you have long hair, anything that can hang down into the revolving things needs to be tucked away. So if I was going to cut on a saw with this, I can't just leave this hanging and dangling. It could get caught in things. So I either got to get it up out of the way, tuck it down in my shirt. Same thing with a tie, same thing with your strings. Long hair needs to be tied back, and so forth. Rings, jewelry, like necklaces, wrist jewelry, watches. If you have wrist jewelry on, it has to be tight around your wrist. In some circumstances, it might be dangerous enough I'd have you take it off. Rings can be dangerous. So typically I would rather you weren't wearing jewelry when you're around the power equipment, because if it gets caught in something, it can really make things worse. So jewelry, bracelets, necklaces, especially dangly necklaces. If they're tight up around your neck and they're not going to dangle into things, then we would be fine. So it's a little circumstantial with these types of things, but generally speaking, anything that dangles and you get caught, we're going to ask you to take off or secure away in a way that it will not get caught. Okay? So PPEs, and then just things that you do not want to be wearing when you're using equipment. Okay?